We are on session number 12 today. I hope that you guys all had a really great Christmas and that you had a good New Year's and that you're ready to start the year off with a bang. I know everybody likes to set New Year's resolutions, so I'm hoping that you are thinking about kind of things that you've been working on and things that you've been changing, but maybe there's further that you want to go. And so maybe it's more healthy foods, more exercise, maybe it's losing a little bit more weight, but just thinking of those things. And what do you want to change? Where do you want to be next year? I think this is a great time of year to evaluate kind of where you were last year versus where you are now. And look back to see how far you've come already. Because I think that definitely helps us to feel better about ourselves and gives us kind of a good boost already. But more than that too, I want you guys to look at where you are now and where you want to be next year. And go ahead and start setting those goals and having those thoughts of what you want to do. And so that's what this class is all about. That's why it's a year-long program to help give you that time to make those changes. And we've already started seeing some of those changes of choosing those healthier foods, not going to Dairy Queen and getting those milkshakes anymore, and just making those healthy changes. And I think those are great. I've been talking to some of you guys, and you're telling me about the successes that you're already having, and that is awesome. I'm so excited for you. And so we'll go ahead and get started today. Today we are going to be talking about healthy hearts and just the importance of eating those healthy fats to keep our heart healthy. But before we get started, as usual, go ahead and take a look back at last week's stuff. And what you'll see is just what we talked about last week of different triggers and how you can cope with your different triggers. So if there is anything that you guys wanted to let me know about different triggers that you might have, or any questions that you had about the last lesson, please give me an email, shoot me an email, and I will give you some feedback, give you some ideas, whatever you kind of need help with. So, but we'll go ahead and get started today. And like I said, today we are talking about having healthy heart foods, the importance of a healthy heart, and just kind of being smart about the fats that we are choosing. Okay, so we have discussed this a little bit already, but I want you guys to take a second and see if you know the answers. So my first question is, what is it called when you are no longer getting any blood to the brain? Yes, correct. It is a stroke. And then the next question is, what is it called when you are no longer getting any blood to your heart? You guys are so smart. How did you know? It's a heart attack. That's it. Good job. And so if it happens that an artery to your heart gets blocked, that is when you are having that heart attack. And so if your arteries in the brain get blocked, that's your stroke. So that's just a fancier way of saying it. But we want to keep our arteries as clean as possible. And so what happens is you have these arteries, you have veins and arteries. And the veins go away from the heart, it takes the blood out, and your arteries take your blood back to your heart. And so when we continue eating or not exercising, all of that, the cholesterol and the triglycerides, they start building plaque up in those arteries. And that is where, once again, the plaque then is making it harder for that blood to get back to your heart. So if an artery gets clogged, then you're no longer having that blood transport back to your heart. And we need our heart to keep getting blood because we need it to keep pumping blood other places. But mostly we need our heart to keep working. It's very important. And so different things too that could happen and show signs that our arteries are getting clogged or that we're having a heart attack. Maybe having chest pain. You might be getting out of breath. You might be having jaw pain. You might have back pain. But other things too that include arteries, problems with your heart and arteries, might just be you're having kidney problems, your narrow blocked arteries in your legs. You might have numbness, sexual problems, a thickened heart muscle, or even vision loss. So anywhere that blood goes, you can have issues, and that's going to be everywhere. So what can we do about this? How do we prevent this from happening? So what you can do is turn to page 3 in your participant guide. I will get there eventually. So these are going to be different ways that you can help keep your heart healthy. The first one is very important. If you smoke, quit. It's much easier said than done, but we actually have a free program through the health department, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, and it's a good place to start to kind of ask questions. It'll give you support, things like that to help you quit smoking, because smoking is not easy. A habit is not easy to stop. We've all kind of learned that through the last few months of this class. So other things too, being active, trying to get those 150 minutes of moderate activity in. Reach and stay at a healthy weight. Avoid sitting for long periods of time. So trying to do 2 minutes of physical activity for every 30 minutes that you're sitting down. Trying to manage your stress, limiting your alcohol, and choosing foods that are low in calories, salt, and unhealthy fats. And instead, choosing foods that are going to be high in water, nutrients, fiber, minerals, and protein. So also, you may need to go on a medicine for your cholesterol levels or for your heart. If your doctor is thinking that this is what's best for you, making sure that you are taking your medicine as prescribed and getting your health tests done. So what are these health tests that you need to have done? There's 2 different ones that are important for your heart. The first one is going to be your blood pressure test, and you really should be having your blood pressure test every time you go to the dentist, every time you go to the doctor. If you are interested, you can also check it manually when you are at like the grocery store. And then the other one is going to be your cholesterol test, making sure that that's done. This is typically done once a year, but if you have high cholesterol, they'll check it more than that. Okay. So now we've kind of gone over some ways in the packet of how to keep your heart healthy. So think about things in your life where you have some room for improvement. Better things that you can do to improve your heart health. It might be for me. I know that I sit for more than 30 minutes at a time. There may be some times that I sit for an hour and a half. Typically not more than that because I get a little bit antsy and a little bit restless. But for some people, you have a desk job or you're retired and so you can sit and watch TV. But making sure that about every 30 minutes you are up and doing something. So take a second and kind of think about where you are and what you could work on. Okay, so in the participant guide, we discussed that one of the tests that you guys should have done is going to be getting your blood pressure checked. And so blood pressure is it plays a huge role in it increases your risk of having a heart attack or a stroke because the blood pressure is the force of your blood moving through your body. And as that pressure number gets higher and higher, you're at an increased chance of having that heart attack or stroke. And there's 4 big things of how you can either decrease your chances of having that blood pressure or 4 ways that you can increase your chances of having a heart attack or stroke. So that's going to be, the first one is smoking. So quit smoking if you are smoking. Decrease how many cigarettes you're smoking if you're smoking. The second one is going to be getting plenty of physical activity like we've been talking about. These are going to sound very, very familiar. Get your physical activity, 150 minutes in a week. Third, eat your fruits and vegetables. No, actually it is try to decrease the amount of salt intake in your diet. So that's going to look like eating more fruits and vegetables and trying to decrease the things that do have lots of salt in them. So like your Chinese takeout food, or your frozen meals, or your canned vegetables that do have salt in them, your canned soups, those are really high in sodium. Your ramen noodles are really high in sodium. So trying to watch your salt intake. And then lastly, taking medication as prescribed. Just watching to make sure that you are staying on top of that, because sometimes it can be kind of difficult. So some of these things you may already be doing, and that's kind of our goal, is that at this point you have started doing these things, because these are going to help you to prevent getting that type 2 diabetes. Okay, so now we're going to transition. We've talked about ways to decrease that blood pressure, but now we also want to take into account what kind of foods are going to put us at an increased risk of having heart disease. Because heart disease also can then clog our arteries and cause us to have a heart attack or a stroke. So these are going to be your fatty foods. So salty foods have an impact, but so do fatty foods. And so we have two different kinds of fats. We have our unhealthy fats, and then we have our healthy fats. I'm going to ask you another question. So I want you guys to take a second and think back and see if you can remember what is another name for your unhealthy fat and what is a name for your healthy fat. Okay, I know that you guys all already know the answer, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you anyways. Your unhealthy fats are going to be your saturated fats, and your healthy fats are going to be your unsaturated fats. So now I want you to think to yourself and think if you can come up with at least 3 foods that would go in each category. What are 3 foods that would be a saturated fat, and what are 3 foods that would be unsaturated? Okay, so I'm going to name you my 3 favorite saturated fats, and then I'm going to name you my favorite 3 unsaturated fats. So my 3 favorite saturated fats are going to be a hamburger, bacon, and sausage. But there are other things that do fall into this category. So other things may be full fat cheese, also will be like your whole milk, your heavy whipping cream. Anything that has the word cream in it is going to be a higher saturated fat. Sour cream, cream cheese, whipping cream, any of those are going to be your saturated fats. Okay, now for my favorite 3 unsaturated fats. So the first one is going to be peanut butter. And peanut butter does have a little bit of saturated fat in it as well. And I'll make another comment on peanut butter in a minute with a different kind of fat. But peanut butter, avocados, and then your vegetable oil. So any type of nuts are going to be good too, as they have plenty of unsaturated fat in them. And there's other things too that are going to have unsaturated fat. So you have a monounsaturated and poly. That's just getting into the weeds of it. But it's important to know that there are also more types of unsaturated fat. But things that might fall into one or both of those, or one of those categories, may be like salmon or your tuna fish. Any of your fishes are going to be unsaturated fat. Those are going to be really heart healthy for you. And then these are also going to be on your participant guides. So other things that I haven't mentioned might be your oil-based salad dressings. And then like your soft tub margarine, walnuts, any type of nuts are going to be good. Okay, so I said we were also going to be talking about another type of fat that peanut butter might have in it. So one thing that peanut butter has in it that a lot of people don't realize is that your regular peanut butter is going to be made with hydrogenated oils. And what does that mean? That is a fancy word for saying that peanut butter has just enough trans fat in it that they don't have to label it on the nutrition label. So it says that it has 0 grams of trans fat in it, but it's made with a hydrogenated oil, which then actually means that it still has trans fat in it, just not enough for them to have to put it on the food label. trickery. Tricky are those makers of that peanut butter. So trying to get your natural peanut butter will actually make it so that you are not getting any hydrogenated oil in your peanut butter. And there are other foods too that do still have trans fat in them. It's not as common anymore, but there are still a few. A lot of them are going to be in your processed baked goods. That is where the culprits are going to be found most of the time. So you're just trying to kind of stay away from those pre-made, pre-processed pastries and goodies. And then other times they might be still found in your margarines. So making sure that it does say 0 trans fat in it, 0 hydrogenated oils. That's a good place to look as well. Because we really, really want to avoid trans fats. 10% of your fat, 10% of your diet can still be made up of saturated fat, but we are wanting to limit that saturated fat as well. Okay, so we did talk about the different types of fat, and on page 4, I kind of skipped over this. On page 4, it talks about your unhealthy fats, and then on page 5, it is actually going to talk about your polyunsaturated fats. Oh, here it is. So page 4, it has like ice cream and potato chips on it. And so it also talks about trans fats, foods that are high in cholesterol. And then page 5 talks about all the different unsaturated fats, those healthy ones. And then on page 6, I really like this. It's really helpful. Kind of just walks you through, if you're eating your food like this, what is something I can do to make it healthier? What can I do to decrease that fat that I'm eating? Okay? Because we definitely still need fat. And if you guys will remember, we kind of started, when we started the class, we talked about which of our macronutrients have the most calories in it. So our macronutrients are going to be your carbohydrates, your proteins, and your fat. Okay? So which ones of these are going to have the most calories? Your carbohydrates have 4 calories per gram. Protein has 4 calories per gram. And then your fats are going to have 9 calories per gram. So we don't need as much of that fat per gram in our diet as we do, say, carbohydrates or protein. So on page 6, sorry, jumping back a little bit, it does talk about some healthier options of cooking. So I want you guys to take a look at, go through these, kind of look to see what are some things that you see here that you would be willing to try and willing to do. Okay, so I'm going to kind of talk you through some of the things too that are on here that I really enjoy, that I find are really helpful. Using the spray for your vegetables, I will do a lot of stir fry. It's one of my go-to easy peasy meals. And so I will just throw my vegetables into the pan. Also, I'll spray it first and then just throw my veggies in there. And then they don't stick to the pan, and I don't really need any other oil or butter or anything like that to put on top of them. Credit, those are also going into they're going into a bigger part of a dish where there's more flavor. So if you are looking for more flavor, adding flavor to other parts of your dish can also help. But adding things like lemon juice or lime juice or maybe some hot sauce, something like that, can add some seasoning to it without adding that high fat or that sodium. So it also talks about non-fat yogurt in here. Greek yogurt is a wonderful substitution for your mayo and or your sour cream. So often when I'm making things like a tuna salad or my chicken salad, I will do I'll use half sour cream. No, I will use half Greek yogurt and then half of it be that mayo. And so it gives it kind of a tangy taste, but that mayo still helps it to be sweeter. And trying like lemon juice mix with a little bit of honey, mixed in with some olive oil for a dressing, game changer. You'll love it. You can also throw in like some herbs and pepper, black pepper, something like that to put on your salad instead of using those high fatty dressings like ranch dressing or things like that. Other things too that this talks about doing is trying to take off the skins of your chicken before you eat it, because those are really, really high in fat. Or instead of getting that fried chicken, trying to grill it or roast it, putting it on a pan and baking it in the oven with the rest of your vegetables will make life a whole lot easier, a whole lot cleaner, and there will not be nearly as much grease on your stovetop. So those are just different things, different techniques that you can use. Using a spray in your pan, substituting out those high fatty foods. And I also too, if you are making something that's like a cream base, so maybe you're making like fettuccine Alfredo, instead of using like half and half and heavy whipping cream, I like to substitute and use like 2% milk. So your dish is not going to be as thick and creamy, but it's still going to be full of flavor. So trying to cut back fat when you are looking at things, and it's talking about having that heavy whipping cream or the sour cream, getting that low-fat sour cream, getting the low-fat cottage cheese. So doing that instead. So I've kind of gone over a lot of different ideas of things that you can do to decrease your fat. And so those are how you can decrease your saturated fats. But also trying to figure out ways to incorporate those unsaturated fats into your diet as well. Nuts are super easy because you can eat those as a snack. You can put those on your salad. You can add nuts into like chicken salad. That would be great. Having avocado to things. So putting an avocado with some salsa on top of your eggs. It's a super easy, super great and delicious breakfast. Avocados go great on everything. They're delicious with guacamole. But avocados are something pretty versatile as well that you can add on. They're great in salads. And then also trying to just increase the amount of fish that you're eating in your diet would be good as well. Adding a little bit of lemon juice or a little bit of like hot sauce, things like that is really good on top of your fish. And that will also help with your unsaturated fats. So that's kind of that's our whole lesson for today. So what I want you guys to do is go ahead. It has come time to make your goal. And I want you to go ahead and kind of think about something with the fat maybe that you think that you can work on changing. Thankfully, the holiday season is over and everybody is finished eating all of their sweets. So those are things that are also really high in fat. They pretty much have a 50-50 ratio of sugar to fat, and that's what makes them so delicious. So trying to limit those sweets as well will also help with decreasing those saturated fats, because it's mostly butter shortening that we're putting in those. So go ahead and take a second, make a goal. Remember, we want it to be realistic, doable, specific, and flexible. Okay, so I'll give you a second to set that goal. Okay, well, I hope that you are able to do this goal this week. I hope you're able to work your way to it. I know that the new year adds in a little bit more boost of motivation, so hopefully you will have that. We will be meeting in class on January the 7th. So I will see you guys at the school. I'll send you a reminder email. Just let me know if you'll be able to be there. And I will get all of your information from the last few weeks, okay? So you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you on Monday.